This episode is brought to you by Whitaker Garage Doors, your one-stop shop for all things garage doors, proudly based in Peekskill, New York. Your home is a direct reflection of your personal style, and let's face it, your garage doors are the first thing people see when they pull up your driveway. Whether you're looking for the timeless charm of a classic carriage house door or the clean, sleek look of a basic wood finish, Whitaker Garage Doors offers traditional options for every taste and budget. I can personally vouch for their incredible service. When I had my own garage doors done, I was blown away by their timeliness, professionalism, and overall respect for their clients. Jonathan, Cassara, and their entire team are top-notch, and they really go the extra mile to ensure you're happy with the final result. So if you're in the market for a new garage door or need some repairs, give them a call or find them on Instagram at Whitaker_doors. Don't forget to tell them you're a friend of Dave's over at the No Snooze podcast. Whitaker Doors. You won't regret it. Now, back to the Epi. Adversity? Bring it. The struggle? I welcome it. Snooze on life? Never that. I am Dave Regina, and this is the No Snooze podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 248. As always, I'm in the booth. We have a wonderful three. We have Claudio the Voice Valenzuela, Andrea, the queen of the drip, Della Mura, and I am Dave, the body, Regina. Andrea Della Mura is the passionate franchise owner of the DRIPBaR Rye. In downtown Rye, New York, a two-time breast cancer survivor, Andrea turned her own health journey into a mission to bring safe, high-quality IV vitamin therapy and wellness support to her community. With a background rooted in personal experience, she emphasizes hospital-grade standards, RN and above-only care, and a spa-like environment for people seeking recovery, vitality, and preventative wellness. Beyond her business, Andrea is a mother of two boys, an advocate for women's health, local community partnerships, and wellness education. Andrea, I am honored to have you here today. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dave. It's excellent to be here.
Thank you. So listen, we always like to start the episode with the connection. So we have to shout out the connector. Melissa Tomlin, 914 Pop-Up. She's the one that got us going, right?
Absolutely. The connector herself. Yes. Thank you, Melissa.
Yes. Thank you, Melissa, for all the text messages that you connect us with. I'm still trying to keep up, but other than that, we are all good. Commute was good this morning?
Excellent this morning. Yeah.
Good.
Nice.
Yeah. You're about your details. I will say that. I tell her we're doing a podcast, and she's like, can I have the address? What time? What's the parking situation like? I need to make sure that I know where I'm going at all times. And I like that about you, especially when I see that you own and operate a business the way that you do. Beautiful location in Rye, New York. But it was something that I was like, oh, okay, she's really about her business here. Am I lying?
I think you nailed it on the head. I think you actually did. Thank you for recognizing it's in the detail. Yeah, right up until I even said, so what's the situation for parking? I want to know my surroundings.
Yep.
I want to know how much time to get there. My biggest pet peeve is actually myself being late to something, and that's really important to me. It is in the detail, and that's how I run my business as well.
Yes. So we will plug November 13th, which is just a couple days away. We will be doing a book signing for my new book, 30 Lessons to Lead. And I just want to say thank you.
Very excited.
Thank you for hosting this. And tell everybody to come join us. Why don't you?
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure to have you come. I've done some book signings before, and they've been very successful. It's a very intimate space, and it's going to allow people to understand why you wrote the book, who you are, and the value that you're bringing to our community. So I'm excited to be able to bring this November 13th. We're going to be starting at 6:30 p.m. prompt. We want people there. We want them to be able to have some light bites. We're going to have some type of healthy energy drink as well, and promote promote your book and show everybody what you're about.
Listen, thank you so much.
It's a
I'm
pleasure.
happy to do it. We will talk more about me next week, but we are here to highlight you, your story, and really all the great things that you're doing in the community. So the first thing that really jumps out to me is two-time cancer survivor, right? Like not once, but twice. And this is breast cancer we're talking about,
Correct.
right? What moment made you say, you know what, now that I'm a survivor, I am opening a DRIPBaR Rye?
That's a journey. It is. That's a journey. So I'm going to take you back just a little bit.
Take us back.
So I was 24 years old the first time I was diagnosed with my first cancer.
So 5 years ago.
About something like that. So, and it's been I'm going to be 57 next month, and it's been a 32-year journey. And I've often said, if I whispered back to that 24-year-old, which happens to be the age of my oldest son right now, who works for me, Nick, I would never have believed that I would be here today doing what I'm doing back then. And I would have told her, buckle up, girl, because this is going to be some ride. And you know, after my first experience with cancer, and that was where the chemotherapy radiation kind of took place, much different than today, though. Today, the way that I think treatment works, I think there's a lot more choices today. And that's a whole nother subject. I can tell you that I had cancer and they treated the cancer. There, you know, you got chemo, you had cancer. There was really no choice as to what type of treatment they gave you, other than, you know, they're going to take you to death and bring you back to life. And it was a solid mass. And at the time we did a lumpectomy. So I was, you know, cleared. I had free, you know, I was free of cancer. Let's put it this way.
This is the first time.
This is the first time, you know, and because everybody said, why didn't you just go for the double mastectomy then? And it wasn't necessary. It really wasn't. And at that time, too, I fought tooth and nail not to go on any kind of medication that would then throw this 24, 25-year-old now into menopause, because that changes your life in a lot of ways. I think back, and I know I wasn't smart enough when I was that age. There's no way. So in looking back, hindsight, I can basically tell you that I really feel that it was definitely divine intervention, that I didn't just accept what they were telling me. And so I didn't go on any of this medication, but I did all the treatment that was necessary, including radiation. You know, they took out more than half my lymph nodes underneath my left arm at the time. So, you know, lymphedema has always been, you know, at the back of my head, thinking, you know, that's something that is irreversible even today. So I've been really fortunate that the way that it went well. And I had 2 kids in between, which they didn't want me to do. You know, this was very unknown territory. You know, I didn't fit in any boxes back then. So, you know, a lot of the bigger hospitals today that are treating, you know, folks with cancer, they didn't really exist, you know, 32 years ago. So I went to hospitals in the city, and they kind of scratched their head and they said, well, we're not sure what to do with you, but we're going to keep you alive, is basically what it was. So I went about my life after that thinking, okay, you know what? I checked the box, okay? And it was back in 2008 when I went for a routine mammogram. And ironically, I had my son Nick with me. He had broke his arm, and we were going to go to the pediatrician around the corner after this mammogram. And I remember having it done. I brought him back into the room. You know, we're waiting for the radiologist to come in, and I can see the radiologist walking in, and I can see her face. And I knew, oh, damn. I said, so I put my hand up to her too, like I got my kid here right now. You know, he's in first grade. And I said, I'll be back. And so went back, had the conversation, and they said, you know, we saw something. I said, okay, so what do you want to do? We're going to go in and we're going to do a little scoop. We're going to get out this little spot that we see, and we're going to do this. Okay. We went in, did that, got a call, and I can tell they were like, well, listen, good news, bad news, right? Good news is what we saw on the mammogram happens to be a calcification. Okay, great. I'm like, fantastic. They're like, but what we saw next to it were 1 millimeter cells. Okay. So in my head, I'm calculating now. And they said, we're going to go in and do another scoop. And I'm like, you're not going to get clean borders. You're just not. Now, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, I've already been radiated on the left side, okay? You can only be radiated in one spot on your body one time. So now, again, a little computer in my head is going on saying, okay, if this is bigger than what I think that it is, like, I have no choice now. So I'm on the phone being like, we're done, and we're going to get this done. Double mastectomy, let's do this. So go for the double mastectomy, and you get the call later from radiology. And basically they said, if you ever doubted whether or not you did the right thing, just know that you did. Because every quadrant on both breasts were filled with 1 millimeter cells, but they had not traveled. Right? They test the mother node. They make sure that this doesn't travel. So now I feel as though like I've dodged 2 bullets,
Right.
and I'm thrilled because now there's no treatment. It was just surgery. And honestly, I thought I won the lotto, because for me it was, because now I have these 2 little kids. I can get through surgery. I have these 2 little kids looking at me now, right? And now I'm not going to have to lose my hair again. I'm not going to have to go through that. So for me, it was a win-win. I'll tell you that after that, surgery is not easy. Like, none of that was easy. It's not a walk in the park. There's a lot that goes into it. Ironically, after that, I wasn't even offered IV vitamin therapy. What I know now, I look back, right? So I've only been doing IV therapy for about 10 years. And going back to my oncologist at the time, and he took some blood work, and I really thought I was kind of like a worn-out mom, and there's a lot going on, and he was like, your numbers are just not looking great. What are you doing? What are you not doing? And I'm like, I am doing everything I possibly can. I'm not saying that I'm the cleanest eater at the time. I'm not saying that I was sleeping well and exercising and doing things like that. I was a mom. I mean, we're going to baseball games and, CYO game, basketball games. And I was always in the car. I was always on the run. And raising 2 boys is definitely a challenge, because it's always being very, very active. But he was like, we're going to draw blood again, and we're going to see what your numbers are looking at. My cells really weren't thriving. And he got scared, right? Because we don't want to go down. I want to keep my immune system really, really high. So we don't want to go down that road again. And so he had sent me for IV vitamin therapy, but it wasn't in a place that looked like the DRIPBaR. It was a local place where they let a lot of people into, and it was not a great experience. And then I had called him back and said, okay, I know you had me do this, but this was awful. And he was like, you're going to give me 3 months of your time, and you're going to do this on this regiment. And honestly, I didn't even ask questions like, what's in the bag? I didn't. Now I know, but I didn't. And I trusted. I trusted that this was something that I needed to do. 3 months later, we ran my blood work, and it was like I was another person. So I knew that I was onto something, but I didn't know that this was going to turn into a business for me. I went on my journey trying to find other places that were doing this. Remember, 10 years ago, right? So IV vitamin therapy has been around a long, long time. However, it wasn't as local or accessible to folks as you would think, outside of infusion centers and the hospitals and things like that. So I went on my journey, which took me out of state to go and find a way to do it safely and at the level that I really needed it at, because now I'm doing a deeper dive and I'm learning. However, still had no idea that this was going to turn into a business for me. I'll take it back even a little bit more. With my own journey and advocating for myself through illness, I have a younger son who was also sick for many, many years. And it was with an autoimmune. And learning and advocating with him and the challenges that now I've experienced having to be my own advocate, but now advocating for my kid, right? It changes things, because now that mother line has to come out, from the schools to the doctors to people really not understanding what it was that he was actually going through. And so being on both sides of wellness, I learned a lot. And it was a very slow burn up until I had this opportunity to possibly, now my kids are a little bit older, having an opportunity to buy into this franchise. But I'll stop there as well. I think during the time when the world was shut down, I think a lot of people struggled, right? I think a lot of folks like myself had an opportunity to sort of dig deep and find purpose, right? Because we were back in a box where we couldn't really get outside. We couldn't really interact with the world, right? Other than telephone, telehealth, whatever it was. And something happened to me spiritually during that time, probably even a little bit before that, as a woman, as a mom, and raising my kids and being home for a really long time, especially advocating for my kid. I missed, I think, the interaction of being on the outside and remembering even in my 20s, I had a great job in my 20s when my first cancer hit. And I worked for a Swiss company, and I was able to travel, I have a 2-year community college education that I put myself through. And when the opportunity came for me to work for a screen printing company that their mother, the mothership was basically in Switzerland. And it's like I became a buyer very quickly, and I was able to travel and really experience things that my friends were, stuck in school doing. And I was like, well, I'm going to go live my life. So going from that to shutting down to cancer and deciding then to have a family, and then experiencing cancer again, and then having a child that was unwell for a really long time and advocating for that child, I can tell you that, something happens in your psyche that says, what am I missing? And, I know I'm not alone in this. I know a lot of folks were sort of like reflecting back during that time. And it was a horrible time when people, when the world shut down. But now I'm thinking to myself, like, what is the possibility? What am I missing? Where I wanted to feed my soul. And I had no idea that this was going to be it, I'll be honest with you. So going on my journey and finding out that some of these places started popping up, doing IVs, working with needles, like who are these people that are doing this? When I found this franchise, I realized that they do it at such a level that I wanted to be a part of it. I'm non-medical. Being a non-medical person, means I have to rely on others, a medical director, RN nurses, but I have to have all the coverage just like they do. And for me, I think it was a blessing and a privilege to be able to bring this modality to my own community. And I thrive on that every day. I do. Every day I wake up, and I will say again, like, it is such a privilege because not everyone gets to live out, their purpose. I had no idea, and it's shifting, and we pivot every single day. And I've learned that without the experience that I had and the things that I've gone through, right? Because they always say, right, you have to go through some stuff in order to understand, and you make a lot of mistakes. And you have those lessons. Those lessons are where you're learning in order to do better. And I make mistakes every day, but I see it now. I see the world a little bit differently than I did. And I look back at that young woman, that had to go through all of that and put my family through all of that, and grateful that I was able to have 2 boys. And I'm grateful for all the experiences, honestly, as horrible as some of them were, I can take that into my future. And that's what I'm doing now. And I feel as though, part of me says, could I do this 10 years ago? I'd be 10 years younger, maybe have a little more energy to do it, but I couldn't have, because I truly believe that where I'm at and in the place that God has put me, it allows me to take my experience, and now I'm able to share that and support others in my community with the experience that I have. Although I talk a lot, I listen hard. And my goal as not only a business owner or a woman-owned business as well, and a wonderful community, to be able to bring my knowledge and also be able to treat people the way I wanted to be treated. I know what I didn't have, and now I'm here to bring it to the folks because I can tell, I can read a room better than anybody. And I'm very good at body language. I'm very good at knowing in my environment what's lacking, what's too much, and I adjust accordingly. So when folks come in and receive a service in my establishment, I'm in my business. Others run their business. I'm truly in my business. And it's hard. It's hard. We're 7 days a week. But it is a pleasure to be able to watch people transform from when they come in. And I'm going to say most people will come in, maybe they're not feeling so well. They're not always going to show their best self either because they're not feeling so well. We make them comfortable. And by the time that they're done, they feel as though now someone actually was listening, someone cared, someone put my feet up, and someone has my back. And by the time they leave, they're thinking to themselves, when can I come back to this?
Beautifully explained. And I wanted to stop you because you started to get into some other things that I'm going to be asking you about as well. So that moment is clear on kind of how this all came about. And for me, the personal experience, there's no better business than dealing with personal experience, and that's exactly
Agreed.
what you've done. But also, as I was listening to you, there's a lot of relatability there for me because although I don't have cancer or did not have cancer, I suffer from Crohn's disease, which I've had since I was 16 years old. And my entire life, I've gone into an infusion center. And now my, my current location is right in Purchase, but it's in a hospital, and I'm constantly having conversations with individuals every 8 weeks, and then they stop showing up because they passed away. And it's a hospital environment. So it's not the most welcoming by any means. I love my nurses, but what you're doing, and when I was able to walk into your establishment, I immediately thought to myself, like, wow, I wish like my infusion center was kind of like this. So that's what was going off for me.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for sharing the story, not a one-time survivor, but two, but also just recognizing the blessings that have been there and have come along. And it really is truly incredible that, that second time that you ended up having the surgery, it really was just a one and done type thing and it didn't spread. And I believe there's one person that was controlling that, and it was not you or me.
Nope.
So no, thank you so much for sharing. I want to get into, I guess, some of the IV therapy itself. What would you say to the skeptic that is listening? What's one myth versus a fact that you wish more people understood about the IV world?
Absolutely. So we get folks, and it is funny, is that we get folks who are like, oh, it's just expensive urine, right?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. And so how I sort of explain that is that when you are getting an infusion, we are able to get mostly water-soluble vitamins right to your cellular level, right? Most people today are dehydrated, including myself, because of the lifestyle that we have, always on the go, okay? I've not met too many people that have really great gut health, right? They take their oral vitamins, fantastic. I also found out about myself is that I have dysbiosis, so I cannot absorb certain vitamins, which I can take it all day long, but it's going to go right through me. That's what's going to go right through you. When we're able to get the essential vitamin right to your cellular level, that changes things, right? So think about this. If you are deficient in something, right, and you're taking, let's say, an oral vitamin, and I do take oral vitamins, don't get me wrong, because I can't do infusions every day, right? And we don't infuse things like fish oils and things like that. Those are essential for our well-being, okay? But we get folks that come in, and it's been life-changing for them, because if you have a condition, if you have MTHFR, if you don't methylate, right, if you're not taking the right oral vitamins, right, you're not able to support your well-being through that modality, but we're able to get this right to your cellular level.
That is so important, right? Right there. It's critical. And I don't know if CV, you're hearing it the same way that I am, but you can relate this to any vitamin, right? And I know specifically for me and CV, we were both deficient in vitamin D heavily.
Ooh, I'm the vitamin D queen.
You see that now more often than not.
Yeah.
But so you're saying with that condition that some may have is called what?
MTHFR.
MTHFR,
Yes, you
where
don't
they
methylate.
cannot methylate and actually consume that in a way that their body is utilizing it. You could be taking all the vitamin D in the world unless you're actually getting it to the cellular level through intravenous.
Yeah.
Then you're not even taking care of this. So I love that.
Yeah. Well, two things
Very
too.
important.
The flora, the gut flora is everything, right? Because the gut flora. Your gut is a neighborhood, and there's good bacteria and bad bacteria, and when you get that is a whole nother conversation in itself as well. Absolutely.
Good in the hood and bad.
Absolutely.
Stand for Connecticut.
There you go. You have too many police or you have too many bad guys, right? There has to be that balance, right? And that's our gut flora. So when something happens, you can end up with leaky gut, you can end up with a parasite, right? And so you can leaky gut, it's like picture leaky gut, right? It's like picture that neighborhood, picture that fence. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so there is a bacteria called Akkermansia that its job is actually to make sure that the glue for the fence around your neighborhood is strong, and the glue starts to wear down. That Akkermansia is ready to put the new glue up, right? But the minute one of the planks goes down in your gut, allows now foreign things to leave the gut and to float through your system, which is going to cause you inflammation. So it is the science behind it, right? And keeping your gut healthy is everything. I'm going to say like more than 85% of autoimmunes really come from your gut. You fix your gut, you fix your life. Getting to vitamin D, and I am the vitamin D queen, is that I also learned a lot about vitamin D. Number one, it's super inexpensive. Number two, a lot of doctors are not talking about it.
Yes.
Well, it's super inexpensive. A lot of doctors aren't talking about it. Okay. So what I do is I listen to folks that will come in, and Dave, you'll say, listen, I'm a little foggy brained and my energy is really low and I can't. So I'll say, when was the last time you had your vitamin D checked? Oh, I think my doctor checked that. Hold on. They go onto their app. They're looking. They're like, I don't see it. I'm like, oh, they didn't test you for that, did they? But we can test you Monday through Thursday at the DRIPBaR, and you pay AccuReference, which is our lab, directly, right? We draw as a courtesy. And in 48 hours, we can tell you what your levels are. And then we can tell you whether or not you actually will be able to qualify for either maybe 2 injections or 4 injections, okay? And so folks are like, well, I don't understand. Why would my doctor not test me for that? So vitamin D, every cell in your body has a receptor for vitamin D. That's how essential it is. When you are deficient in vitamin D, it actually can hit and it can really not help your mental clarity. So it can actually help with your energy, where people go right to the B vitamins for that right away. Mm-hmm. So that's why I have a conversation with my folks. And it could be as simple as a vitamin D deficiency. Now, vitamin D is fat soluble, so we don't drip vitamin D. Gotcha. But we do injections. And I always say, too, like you should be on a minimum, and I'm non-medical, but a minimum of 5,000 IUs a day. There's chewables, there's great brands, but take a clean brand. Right. We always recommend a clean brand. Like Designs for Health is one of my favorites. Okay,
what is it?
Designs for Health.
Designs for Health.
It's a very clean. The manufacturing practices are off the chart. That's what you want. It's really difficult to be able to go into like one of your pharmacies and to be able to pull something off the shelf. That's hard because, unfortunately, what's not disclosed to us, and if you don't know, there are a lot of fillers that are in a lot of our supplements, and it's not as regulated as you think that it is. Now, you're taking something with a filler. Now your body's got to try to figure out, what am I doing with this? Wouldn't you rather it just go right to your cell? Well, first, and that's the key, is that oral vitamins are wonderful, and I take them myself, but think about the travel and the journey that vitamin has to go through. Now it's got to be digested. It's got to go through what is your gut flora looking like, right? Now, at that point, I learned that like I take magnesium 3 times a day. Guess what? I don't absorb magnesium. So I'm deficient in magnesium. So until I continuously.
Is this you personally or are you just saying in general?
Personally.
Really?
Me personally. Oh, I was shocked. I took a metabolic test that we do, and I learned through the biochemist through Designs Your Health. Actually, she was saying, she was like, you're magnesium deficient. I was like, hold on there. I'm taking this 3 times a day. She's like, you're not absorbing it. So I can spend the money on it. Exactly. Time and money on it. And then I learned that I'm actually not absorbing it because of some things that are going on in my gut. And it's a continuous type of battle for people that have issues that need to keep rebuilding, because it's not like, oh, I fixed it, now I'm done. No, it's keeping it well.
And a test will do that for you. A test will be able to tell you. So everybody out here, y'all got to go and get tested, because if not, you're not going to see you shaking his head over there, because that was him. And you know, thank God he was able to turn this, especially the energy piece. He was feeling so tired. And I remember the conversation vividly, and he was like, man, I'm just not feeling like myself. And then finally he went to a good doctor that explained the vitamin D process. And it was the same thing for me. You mentioned something talking about like fillers, but what I'm assuming is like standards. And you made a comment in the lobby before about how we care too much about what's in our deli sandwich, which is definitely me. Because the other day I went and got a nice chicken cutlet with I actually mixed pesto with a balsamic glaze, roasted red peppers, fresh mutts. CV's getting excited. He's salivating over there. So I'm that guy when I go to the deli. I really want to know. But I've also been very guilty now of putting things into my body that I think are good. Vitamin B12 shots, I'm being told, and all these things. But there is a difference when it comes to the standard of what the DRIPBaR and Rye is doing, correct?
Oh, 1,000%.
Talk to me about that.
And that's why I'm very transparent with people too, and I talk a lot about my own health, and I talk about the challenges that I've had, because like yourself, right? When you are doing something, you own something, people think, wow, like, you know, you must have it all together. It's like, no, of course I don't. Like, it's a struggle. It really is. You know, when I get my blood work done now, my oncologist is the first one to go, hey, Miss DRIPBaR. He's like, your creatinine numbers are totally off the chart. Like, you're dehydrated. I'm like, of course I am. So, you know, it is a battle. It is a battle for everyone every day. And so what we do at the DRIPBaR is that we have 4 different ways that we can get vitamins into you. So there really is no excuse for folks. We do IV, we intravenous, we do IM intramuscular, and then oral vitamins, of course. I just said I take them myself. And then now we have a spray vitamin, so which is sublingual. So you spray it in your mouth, 8 pumps into the mouth, and you're good. I did it before I got here in the car. Has a little lemon
flavor to it.
There you go. And you're good. So there's different ways to be able to do that. Now, I will tell you that putting things in your body, knowing what they are, knowing what they do. A lot of folks will come in, they'll look at our menu, they're like, what do you recommend? We have a conversation with them. Again, I'm non-medical, but we have a medical director that clears you, and they clear you for 6 months. We ask tons of questions, women all the time. If you're 16 to 93 years old, which is my oldest client, are you pregnant or breastfeeding? And we're going to continue asking that, because that's a special drip. So the one thing is safety. We're HIPAA compliant, we're New York State and federal compliant. That's what we do. But on top of that, my nurses continuously ask questions. And so at the end of the conversation, at the end of your drip, I'm going to know a little bit more about you, and we're going to be able to hone in on maybe you came in just for hydration. Maybe you came in and you wanted the starter drip. Our debut drip is like our Myers cocktail drip. You know, it's a very mild drip. But my goal is to hone in on maybe more about what is going on with you. Now, listen, is an IV drip going to cure you of what you have? No. An IV drip is going to support you, though, in whatever journey that you are on, because we're here to be able to make your life better. In order to heal, it's really important to know what is the root cause. What is the root cause of actually what is going on with Crohn's disease as well? So I work with a functional medicine consulting team, right? And so they are separate from the DRIPBaR, but I hire them, okay, to really work with my clients to have that deeper conversation, because truthfully, when people get to us for IV vitamin therapy, boy, they've been everywhere else. Okay. My clients are educated. My clients know a little bit about health. They're probably tired of the system and they're looking for results. I've been going to the same doctor for 6 years. He's given me all these medications. I'm like, well, how are you feeling? How far have you come? Are you still battling the same thing? I try to get them to think, maybe I should make some changes. Maybe I should see a different kind of doctor. I'm all about integrative and functional medicine because those folks are looking at us as a whole. Just because your big toe hurts doesn't mean it's coming from your big toe, right? So we get down and again, we do IV vitamin therapy. I give my clients resources to be able to find the core reason why something is happening instead of just band-aiding it, right? Life is short, life is sweet, but we want quality of life. I don't want to just exist. And I think for a really long time, that's what I was personally just doing. I was just existing. I want to thrive. So there is a difference, right? God gave us this one life as far as we know, and I plan on checking a lot of boxes off. But with that, it brings me joy. It brings me happiness to be able to support my community by giving them the resources that I didn't have. Is it for everyone? Probably not, right? But I'm here to educate. And by the time my client is done in my lounge and they've received a service from us, my job is to be able to give them the resources that they need and give them the questions that they need. Go challenge the team that's supposed to be taking care of you. Ask them questions. If they push back on you, maybe you should consider somebody else, right? As a human being, I believe, and right down to whatever monster you're fighting, whether it be Crohn's disease, cancer, anything else, I believe every human being has the right to know what your choices are. Give me the choices, and then let me decide what is going to work best for me, right? So
I love that.
I really want people to have the choices that I didn't.
That's awesome. You know what the young kids are saying these days? They go like this: clock it. You familiar with that? My daughter
old.
came home doing it.
I'm too old.
Clock it. That and
I
6,
love it.
7.
Oh, that I know. That I got a baseball. I got a baseball player for that. I see that on the. I see that all the time. So
no, well explained. And again, you have a gift, definitely tying your personal experience to the business side of things. But like, we're not here to cure you. We're here to support you, is what I was hearing there.
Yeah.
But too many of us, we kind of just go to the doctor and just let the doctors do what we believe to be doctoral things without real knowledge in the game.
I remind folks, Dave, that honestly, our doctors work for us. And I think people forget that.
We do forget that.
Yeah.
You were absolutely right.
If I'm going to hire you, you're working for me and we're going to have a conversation. But I'm going to decide what works best for me. And my goal is not my insurance company is going to dictate what it is my care is going to be. Never again. Although they say I'm catastrophic because of my history. I take that very seriously, and I do my best to be able to share, again, my experience so others don't have to go down that rabbit hole like I did.
It's a wonderful mission that you're on. You're doing great work. For the past 5 years, I've trusted Kai Vision Studio with my podcast. And every time, Claudio delivers an exceptional experience. The setup here is flawless. Professional lighting, crystal clear audio, and a custom set that makes every episode look elite. As someone who speaks on leadership, I know how important it is to show up with clarity and confidence. This studio allows me to do just that. The quality here isn't just about the equipment, it's about the environment. Claudio has created a space where I can focus on my message, knowing the production will be sharp, engaging, and professional. In a world flooded with content, standing out matters. And having a studio like this gives me the edge to produce videos and podcasts that truly connect with my audience. If you're serious about creating high-quality content, I can't recommend Kai Visions enough. Claudio makes you feel at home, yet delivers at the highest level. 5 years in, I'm not going anywhere else. When I came into the space, besides the aesthetic and just the vibe in general, it's very welcoming. But one thing I did notice when I first got there was a fit young lady that was kind of leaving her treatment. And then as you and I were talking, a gentleman probably in his 60s or 70s came in and started receiving services. And then not too far after that, a gentleman, tall gentleman. I believe he was out playing golf. His wife was part of it. And he was like, hey, I'm in here for the first time. So I bring that example because to me right away, I was able to see that there's all walks of life coming in here. Obviously without naming names and, the whole HIPAA situation. But can you share, I guess, like maybe a client story that captures the kind of impact that you're seeing when people are receiving your services?
Oh, yeah. So funny that when you were saying that, I'm thinking, who's my avatar? People would ask me that all the time. Who's your avatar? What's the? And so when we first opened, we thought for sure it was going to be like 90% women, 10% men. That's what we really thought. Honestly,
because women are so much smarter than us. Is that what you're saying here?
Pretty much.
Well, what are we doing?
We're working on you, Dave. Pretty much. So
I agree.
We were actually pleasantly surprised that we are probably like a 60-40 now. And I'm not lying. Like on a Sunday, we giggle sometimes because we can have literally like 6 or 7 men lined up. And we're like, all right, either the wives are like sort of like, you guys got to go, get out of my house, or they are actually really starting to understand the value of self-care. All right. So that said, I have so many different clients with so many different stories, from stage 4 cancer right down to folks that have acne. And we get pro athletes, semi-pro athletes. We get high school athletes that come in. We can service folks from 16, 17 with parental guidance. And like I mentioned, our oldest client is 93 years old. Amazing. We do mobile as well. And sometimes these folks can't make it to us. But one that really stands out for us is that, we have a gentleman who is struggling with his health. And he came to us after hearing about us. And he was dealing with, the bottom line is, he was dealing with a parasite that was really just taking over his entire life, affecting his family, because they were able to fight it off, because it did happen that he did pick it up in a foreign country. And so infectious disease, according to him, gave up on him. They couldn't figure out what was going on with him. And it was affecting everything. And it was really just shutting his whole body down. And so, listen, again, we're non-medical. And that's when I had our functional team sort of step in to say, hey, listen, we love to get some support for this gentleman. And by doing one test and asking very specific questions as to like, where were you? What kind of parasites are in that area? Because it all was leading to that. We found the exact parasite.
Come on. So you're telling me
it has a face.
Infectious disease gave up on the guy.
According to him.
Right.
He said, I've been to so many different doctors. And then I have another young woman who basically, she's dealing with sort of like an underlying MS. But she's dealing with a lot of GYN issues, and just listening to her story, and they want to put her like on birth control. They want it, which is very, very toxic, right? For especially folks that have underlying things. And then she also, she comes for injections, she does drips. And then she spoke with our team members as well. And we figured out that there's other things that are going on. And now we're fixing that. We're giving their support on that. Now she doesn't have to go on birth control. And she stated to me, in all the years that I have been struggling and all of the pharmaceuticals that they've been handing to me, this is the only time that I actually feel like I have hope. So literally, we cry a lot at the DRIPBaR. We hug it out at the DRIPBaR. We understand that folks, that when they come in, they don't have the expectations. They're getting a hydration. They're getting an IV drip. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that we are more than that. We are listening, and we have resources. And again, I am non-medical, but I know a lot of stuff. And I got a guy. I always say, I got a guy. So because I know that the people that I particularly work with, I vet them. And I put my family through it, and I listen, and I poke and I prod. And I want to make sure that, because I'm so incredibly protective of not only my staff, but also my clients. And so I want to make sure that whoever I work with is the best of the best, and that we're making a difference. I know personally, right, that I know as one person, I can't make a difference on a federal level. I can't make a difference even on a state level. I have a voice, but my voice is heard in my community. And those are the people that I want to support. When we do fundraisers for different things, these are the people that I want to support. The people that I know are going to make a difference at the level that I am at with my own community. And so I work with only the people that have the same mindset that I do.
Yeah. I mean, I came across something I actually shared with you. One of my buddies, I don't like using the word big time, but high end guy, and a great wife. She's very high end as well, just in her career. And she's got a great friend of hers that basically went in for like a routine. I don't know if it was just an IV or a B12, and came out with this nasty infection that is going to. It almost killed her, to be honest. And it really made me start to think about, that was the first time. And it was shortly before I connected prior to you, which made me start like thinking about all this stuff. Wow. But it really baffles my mind. And then I'll even go further. I was at a location, and I'll leave the name out of it. And the lady who was doing my infusion, I was talking to her, and she's like, oh, like, we'll run this for like an hour and a half, and then I just need some time to get to work. I'm like, oh, like, what time is your shift? Like, thinking it was like a hospital shift or something like that. She told me she was a babysitter. I said, oh, are you babysitting for like a family or something like that? And she's like, no, that's my job. And I'm like, oh, on top of nursing or nursing school? Or no, I'm a babysitter. Oh, I love the hustle, love the grind, but maybe we shouldn't be just out here kind of, applying needles and things like this if we're not qualified to do so. But even me, very guilty, and that probably irks you like crazy. I think that's happening more often than not. And one thing that I've noticed now about DRIPBaR and just being associated to you is you're RN and above. Yeah. Correct?
Oh, 100%. And there are laws, and that's where a lot of even mobile places too, like it flaws me. And I'll have a story for you as well. So I had a woman come in this week, and she's a relative of another infusion place in the area. And I was interested, like, why do you come here? And why do you bring your family here? Because she also knows our protocols, and we're both cancer survivors. And they gave her NAD. And she goes, I remember you said to me, you wouldn't clear me to do NAD. And I said, I won't. I said, because part of our protocol, there's not enough information for us out there that it's going to keep you safe. And she was like, they gave me NAD, and they didn't even have her speak to anybody. Wow. And so it irks me because what happens is that when people look at IV vitamin therapy infusion, right, we are not all equal, right? And I always say it as like, listen, from the cars you drive to the hotels you stay in, right? The car you drive is going to get you where you got to go. The hotel is, there's going to be a bed in your hotel, right? But at what level do you want to be at, right? I want to be safe, right? I want to make sure, I want to make sure that this is going to serve me well. And that's the whole point, is that when I hear stories like that, it makes me insane to think that people aren't asking questions. And that's probably why I'm as transparent as I am, and probably why I pry and I ask questions, and to say, I could call a place up the street and I can get cleared for NAD, no problem. Meanwhile, we won't do that. Now, listen, NAD, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg for NAD, and they're not even going to clear you the right way. I just want people to ask questions, and when people come in and they don't ask me questions, I'm like, don't you want to know? Aren't you curious? Going back to that deli sandwich, I want you to know what is right and what is wrong. And in my 10 years experience of doing this, I've seen a lot of it. And so our industry is always under attack because of the bad stuff that happens, the compounding in the back seats of cars. Like, don't do that. The temperature of
Mixing
the bag.
Compounds?
Yes. Like, there's certain things, like when you're
ordering. You have a submarine in your location.
This is what I'm saying.
I mean, literally, I walked in there, CV. There's a whole contraption of it looks like a hospital thing
it's
in
a
the middle.
hood, yeah.
I mean, you can't even get in there because, you have to have the code and the lockbox and this and that. But then there was like 3 little vials in this whole like big submarine thing. I'm like, I've never seen that before besides in a hospital.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I was looking at. I'm calling it the submarine.
It's called a hood, believe it or not.
All right.
Back to the hood there. But it's our sterilization system. And the
Wow.
DRIPBaR is the only one in the country that has that.
I've never seen it.
Yeah. And I didn't either. And that's why when I came across DRIPBaR, I was like, what's that? Why do you have that? What are you doing with that? And so to me, that makes the difference. You're autoimmune, Dave. So am I for the rest of our life. And guess what? That's really important because infection is no joke. And so this is going to cut down on infection like nobody's business. Wow. And so that's the way you want to do it. It's you can everyone has that level of comfort. This is my level of comfort because we're going to bring it. We're going to do it the best way we can.
I love it. I want to tap into your mindset a little bit. Because you're not only about your business in general, but you take care of yourself in life, right? I'm curious, just asking you, what have been some of the most, pivotal habits that you have implemented in your own life over the years?
Interesting enough, what popped in my head when you said that was gratitude. Yeah, gratitude. I take the time because it's not lost on me that I survived cancer twice. And the stories between the two of them too, and the way that, each cancer was and how we found out about, especially the second one, because if you think about it, like I explained how it was a calcification that they saw actually on the slide when they did the scoop, right? They found that. And then next to it were the 1 millimeter cells. If that calcification wasn't there, they would have sent me on my way for a whole nother year. And it never would have been detected.
Yeah, that's very important because I guess when you said it the first time, it didn't pop as much as the second time. So this calcification was basically a clump of cells that they saw. And because they focused on that, they were then able to detect the cancer.
Correct.
But if that wasn't there, that cancer, just like a lot of us probably are out here walking around with cells that are going undetected and then just continue to grow.
And so that's a connection. So there's 2 things with that now. Correct. So if that calcification wasn't there, they would have sent me on my way. It would have been a whole nother year before I went for a mammogram, okay? Which I even have, there's different ways to do it now too, because life is evolving, technology is evolving, okay? So this is going back again to 2008 when there were not as many options as there are today. And so think about it. Another year would have went by. And so I that sticks with me a lot, So I always feel that was there for a reason. And then fast forward to the DRIPBaR, right? For me, it's not lost that I have this ability and this awareness that I'm able to now to share this with folks because early detection for everything, keeping your immune system up high, because the truth is we get cancer every day. It's what our bodies decide to do with it. So keeping your immune system and being proactive, it's like people don't understand. But with that, I feel that there's a mind, body, soul connection. And so that is what really has pivoted me and set me also on this journey because I didn't do this. This is not a financial thing. If anything, I took my retirement and you were sitting in it at the DRIPBaR. So this isn't, money doesn't drive me, right? We all need money. And I needed to keep my doors open. I needed to feed my family. But that's not what drives me. What drives me is the fact that guess what? We can make a difference in not only my friends and my family, but my community. And so I'm going to say that I have to walk the talk. I go down many rabbit holes that I don't have to. So, and I'll share with you too, I did a test last month and my functional doctor had said, are you sure you want to do this? And I said, I really do. And it wasn't an inexpensive test. But I said, you know what, this is something that I want to do. And it tests for 50 different cancers. And I said, you know what?
How much was that?
It's about $800.
Okay.
Yeah. And I said, you know what?
But why is it so pricey though?
Thank you.
Jesus.
How I see it is that that's a fee, but I also see it that that's an investment.
Great investment.
It's an investment.
I want to know.
And it goes back to IV drips. It goes back to all the things that we do for ourselves. When you do something for yourself, it's an investment. And that's how I look at it. And so I was fortunate enough that when it came back, no cancer detected.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I mean, okay, I'm ready. So whatever that is, I'll do that too. Exactly. So, but those, and when he said to me, "Are you sure you want to go down this rabbit hole?" I was like, you know what, 2 feet, let's go. I always say, like, if not now, when? And that's life goes by. And I think when we wake up every day, in my experience anyway, it's like I wake up and I have to think, I might be tired. Yeah. And I don't know what today's going to bring, but it is a privilege because I know, and I have it in my head that it could have turned out a lot different. And it also tells me on the spiritual side that I still have work to do. I have a soul's contract. I truly believe that. And so this is my purpose. And I truly believe too that there's more, that whatever it is that I'm doing, it's going to be something even greater than I can see right now.
I love it. Let's get practical with somebody who now is listening to this conversation and they're like, all right, I need to step foot in a drip bar. What's the starter drip that you recommend? And I guess like walk me through the process. Because even me now, like I have to get more versed in this because I've kind of allowed a bunch of people to put things in my body that are good for me, like by just going to these places, And it's something I think we got to be a little bit more careful of and conscious of. So what would you say is a starter drip that you recommend for a first timer? And then how do you start to think about like frequency of doing it and I guess aligning with your lifestyle habits?
Yeah. Well said, first of all. So lifestyle habits, right? That's what this is. So our water-soluble vitamins and all of our drips that are our basic whole lifestyle drips. And then we have health support drips, right? So when someone comes in, I'm listening. I want to know what is going on. And that's how I know how to start you, right? So it could be a woman that you can tell she's premenopausal, she's menopausal, she needs some magnesium. We have a soother drip. We may get someone who's just like an athlete, and they're cramping up and they, they're having trouble recovering. Right down to we're like, I'm nervous about this. I heard about this. I know I need this. I'm dehydrated. So for me, my first drip ever back 10 years ago was what we call a debut drip. And it is a Myers cocktail. Dr. Myers was the first doctor that actually put and compounded the vitamins into the bag. Okay. That's how he did it. But Dr. Myers back in the day, he wasn't consistent, is what I'm being told. It was more like he's listening to you and he's figuring it out what you are deficient in by what you're telling him. And then he's putting it in the bag. So our debut drip is really on the same line as the Myers cocktail, except we're consistent.
What's in it?
So basically, it has all your essentials. It has your B vitamin. It has your C vitamin. It's going to have a little magnesium. So it's basic vitamins, right? It's a 500 ml bag, and it's something that it's very mild. It's at a great price point, right, for people to start at, and we start there. And again, it's not a one-size-fits-all. That's why we concierge to each and every one of our clients, and that's why we don't pre-mix anything. I'm having a conversation with you because I do get women or people in general that come in and go, you know what, I can't do the magnesium because it makes my heart. I'm like, we don't have to put magnesium in there. We'll sub it with something else. So nothing is pre-made. Our medical director clears you to do your drip for 6 months unless something changes in your health history. You have a conversation with them. There's many points that you're going to be speaking with people, right? And you're going to be asked a lot of the same questions, heart, kidney, liver. We want to make sure that we're keeping you safe. I had one guy come in and he refused to let us take his blood pressure, and it's a part of our protocol. And he was like, well, I have a cardiologist, so I don't need you to do that. I'm like, well, part of our protocol is that to keep you safe, because if someone now has high blood pressure, we're not going to add volume to you. It's not going to be safe to do that. Right. So again, we come across people too, like, well, I don't want to tell you my health history. I'm like, well, then how can I possibly do this for you. But again, we're HIPAA compliant. We give you that privacy to talk to our medical director. You can ask him anything that you want. So, and we will ask you again in 6 months, because a lot of times people are like, well, nothing's changed. And I'm like, are you sure? Any allergies, any other medications? Oh, wait, yeah, no, they put me on a statin. I'm like, we should probably know that. But because life goes by very fast, people forget, and safety is the first thing that we want to pay attention to, right?
The frequency of getting the IV versus taking your daily vitamins, and I know you said you take daily vitamins too, and we should probably all be taking some level of the daily. Does it last in your system a little bit longer when you go IV versus the daily?
Great question. In general, hydration alone can last 72 hours, right? So we get
real hydration, though.
Real hydration. You're getting
electrolytes.
You're getting electrolytes, 72 hours. So we have a lot, like we have the marathon going on, right? So we had people coming in before, people coming in after, because they wanted. Oh yeah. So I mean, they're getting all of the hydration, right? They're getting usually what we have. We have a restoration drip, right? Restoration drip is going to hit 3 different components. It's got the full liter, so you're going to get your electrolytes, you're going to get the full hydration, and then it's going to hit for your immunity, and it's going to hit for your energy level. So that one is very, very popular amongst our athletes as well. So the vitamins itself, depending on how deficient you are, and that's why it's not a one size fits all, but in general, we say 7 to 10 days, those vitamins can last for sure. In general, I can tell you that when folks are like, how often should I come? Again, we're having a conversation. What are your goals? What's been going on? I would say in general, once a month. If folks feel as though they want to maintain, but if you got something coming on or going on, maybe a little more often.
Gotcha. What are the, for maybe the person who's still skeptical, let's talk just basic vitamins first.
Sure.
What would be like 3 essential vitamins that you would tell everybody to take? And especially with the cold flu season coming up.
Oh, you bet.
What is something that like can just boost our immune system and energy, I guess?
Yeah. So great question, especially like you said with the flu season coming up. So we have something called a shield drip, and we have something called the flu fighter drip, right? And so one shield drip happens to actually be very popular amongst our teachers. Okay. So I'm going to give you that vision, right? Yeah. Because they're just like, you got to protect me. You got to shield me from because of all the stuff. And then we have a flu fighter drip just like that. And so same vitamins, but a little bit of a different dosage because now we know you're fighting something. And it's the highest amount of ascorbic acid vitamin C that we can actually give you in one sitting without lab work. Okay. So if you're going to take some oral vitamins, number one, make sure it's a clean vitamin. That's for sure. So you want to make sure that. I would say, and again, I'm the vitamin D queen. I always say but do you know that vitamin D has a partner? Vitamin D is married to magnesium. So magnesium activates vitamin D. It helps it to get into the cell, the mitochondria, faster, better, more efficient.
What kind of magnesium?
Oh,
there's
God.
3 different types,
No,
right?
there's 10 different kinds.
Okay.
Honestly, in my opinion, some of them are a little useless.
Right.
So it depends on what you're looking for.
What does glycinate do?
Okay. So that's the one that you want to take at nighttime.
Sleepy time.
Yes. Yeah. You know why? Because it's going to actually relax your nervous system, right? And so it's going to help with those cramping. And then there's a lot of people will take citrate in the morning because that also helps to sort of move things in our body, and keep things regular. There is something, I started trying, and I tried different things. There's a 7 salt magnesium, and I'm giving that a try. I'm going to see some magnesiums will be able to pass through the brain barrier, and so helps with mental clarity as well. So there's so many different kinds. So that's why having that conversation. But the 2 in general are the 2 that we just talked about.
Vitamin D, and magnesium.
Magnesium are my top 2. If people say, I'm only going to take 2, what 2 do I take? Now, vitamin C is
I was going to say,
tricky.
Talk to me about the vitamin C because you said the high level dose or whatever you used. Are you talking emergency packs? Because I've heard that those are. Listen, they're not sponsoring the podcast, so I got no tie to you guys. But
I'm only going to be honest.
I've heard it's not good.
So we talked about fillers. Do your homework. Yeah. Do your homework.
Sorry, you could bash them.
Yeah. Not at all. I want,
Sponsor me,
what's so
baby.
funny? You know what's so funny? I want to challenge companies. I want to challenge them so they do better. So
They
they do
won't
better.
because they're so mass produced, and it's unfortunate.
That's an unfortunate thing. I'm always like, follow the money on a lot of the stuff.
So where do you get real vitamin C though?
Yeah.
Like if you're not using these packs.
Yeah. So, okay, well, a couple of things with vitamin C, right? So our body therapeutically can only take so much vitamin C, right? And again, I'm not medical, so
Listen,
I don't
you
say it
keep
pretty.
saying that, but
I know,
I'm
but
gonna
I
be honest
can't
with you.
because it has
I'll
to do with
say it.
micromolars.
She's more
all
medical
this.
than your non-medical. I mean, she's more medical than your medical people out here. So you could keep saying non-medical, but you're giving good
because
advice out here.
I ask good questions. I've learned how to ask questions and in different ways. And so truth is, I learned a lot from the DRIPBaR. We have a research and development team. So not only do we buy from the top compounding pharmacies, we have a sterilization system. We also have a research and development team, right? One of the members of this team, his name is Dr. Steve Rallis, and he's a rock star in my eyes because he is a naturopath doctor, and so he helps a lot of folks with cancer. And so he wrote a book, and it's an amazing book, and it helps people understand that why IV high-dose vitamin C is essential for folks, because especially folks that have like either autoimmune or cancer, but also explaining how oral vitamin C cannot therapeutically actually, it's like a ceiling that vitamin C hits. Your body can only take so much, and when people overdose on it, they end up with diarrhea. Our bodies are going to do that. So IV is the only way that you're going to get it into your body to the mitochondria at a very high dose. Wow. Personally, I do 50 grams. It's a lot. 50 IV. Now, in our flu fighter, we only can give you 10 grams.
Wow.
High dose starts at 15.
Wow, you take 50.
I take 50. Now, I do that every 6 weeks because I also know the value of what it does for me as a cancer survivor. And so it has been proven. It has been proven out there that high-dose vitamin C can help protect the good cells, and it can find the bad ones, and it can get to those free radicals, and it can protect the good ones. So unlike, and this is really important to me that people understand when it comes to cancer, when it comes to different treatments that are out there, a lot of the hospitals, a lot of the doctors, they don't permit clients, their patients, to do any kind of IV vitamin therapy while they're in treatment. And my goal is to be able to help them understand and get them to open their eyes and be awake to the fact that high-dose vitamin C can, at the same time as going through immunotherapy or chemotherapy, can actually support patients throughout their journey of fighting this monster. And this was not offered to me during this time, but learning everything that we have learned, and it is out there. People should do their homework. Do your homework. And I now have over a dozen oncology clients that come to us, and some are post-cancer and some are in the thick of it, and they're doing high-dose vitamin C with us. And the way we work it, and this is the way I personally and Rye do it, is that I know how important and clean it needs to be. So we purchase only preservative-free high-dose vitamin C, which means that I have 4 hours.
Shelf life, right?
I have 4 hours.
Wow.
Once that bottle is actually punctured, I got 4 hours to use it. So it's not inexpensive. But let me tell you, it is so worth it. It is so worth it. And I want more people to understand and know that, again, we talked about options. Can't this be an option? And I understand that a lot of hospitals, they don't want us messing with their numbers. They don't want their clients, their patients to do anything other than what their insurance company is saying that they can do. I just want people to ask questions and know that this is an option. This is an option. And I wish I knew about it. And I wish I had some clients who are no longer with us I wish that they had the opportunity and they knew faster that they could do this and not wait. Do your research. There are options.
You need a podcast. I'm telling you, and I know a guy. I said it before.
I know a guy.
It's
All
true.
right,
You have great knowledge and wisdom inside
that.
you, and honestly, it speaks even more volumes because of the personal experience that it's coming from. Right? It's not like you've just been out here reading a bunch of books, which is great. But you really learn from personal experience. And when you when you talk, people are actually listening to what you're saying.
I want to change things. I can't help the people that have come before me. I can't, and we've been lied to for a really long time by the medical community. And listen, I'm not saying all doctors are bad. I'm not saying that at all.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of good doctors, but they're handcuffed and they're restricted. I want to have the conversation. I just want to open doors and I want to open people's minds, including the medical, people in medical. I want them to go, hey, listen, do we care about lives more or is it more about the pocketbook? And I just think that there is a place for Western and Eastern. I think that there's a place for everyone to have a voice, and I think we all deserve that, and this is being done in Europe. In Europe, they laugh at us. The United States, we used to be, the king of everything, the leader of everything. And now they're like, oh, look at our food system. There's so many things that we can change. And I want to be that voice because I want to educate people and just be aware. Awareness is everything, right? And everything from spiritual awakening to education, no matter what it is. If you're awake to it, right, I always feel the universe is going to find you. It's going to raise up to you as soon as you open up to it. So be open to it. My goal is to have conversations with people that can make these changes in our system and maybe give the folks, our kids, my grandkids someday, my great-grandkids someday, that they have options that their grandmother, their great-grandmother never had. And to be that, I just want to be that force. I have nothing to lose at this point. Like I said, I'm going to be 57 years old. I have nothing to lose, but I know in my head that I'm going to keep going until God calls me home. And it's like, and I know when I get there, I want to be able to go, these are the things and the difference that I made, right? I want my name and my legacy to be that it could be tomorrow, but I want people to know that I was here to make that change. And that, again, it's not lost on me, the privilege that I have, and to get people to listen. And thank you for giving me this opportunity for sharing my story, because I think more people will relate to it than not.
Absolutely. And you applied a lot of tangible takeaways, which is what I love, right? So you listening need to go out, do your research. You need to go get some vitamin D. Well, get a test first.
Please.
Then do your vitamin D,
Yeah.
some magnesium, and go check out the DRIPBaR Rye.
Please do.
It's a lot of tangibles for you guys to apply here. I just want to say thank you for coming on and sharing your story. We're coming up on time now.
Yes.
But please look into this camera right here and let everybody know how they can find you and connect with you.
Guys, I'm Andrea. I'm the owner of the DRIPBaR Rye. We're at 20 Purchase Street. I welcome you all in. We are open 7 days a week for your convenience. We do IV vitamin therapy. We do IM shots. We do testing. We're here to serve you, and it is a privilege. Come on in and see us.
Beautiful. Thank you so much again.
My pleasure.
A lot of knowledge, I'm telling you. Even some things that I need to definitely talk to you about, just in regards to my own gut health and kind of how I can get better, right? Because, everything that I'm doing in the leadership space is great, but if I'm not fueling the body properly, I can't really lead my life the proper way. So I'm excited. And I also want to encourage everybody, again, to come out November 13th,
Yes.
which is Thursday, right? Because this will air on Monday. We'll see you guys on Thursday at the DRIPBaR Rye. And again, Andrea, thank you so much for coming on. And guys, I just want to encourage you, if you have not done so and you're not in the area, to come to a local book signing. Please check out my new book, 30 Lessons to Lead. There's a lot of value in there. The book is very easy to read, which is partially why I wrote it, right? Because I like to read simple things, but it's tangible. And there's a reflection question and an action step behind each and every lesson in that book. So you can grab the book on Amazon, you can grab the book on barnesandnoble.com, or you can get it at my website, which will come signed for you at daveregina.com. And until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
And go get that drip in. Come on, go get that drip.
Buckle up.
That's it. Awesome. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another Epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.